It is great to be here today. Please gather around, everyone. Come on up. Well, this really is a great day for Queens and a great day for New York City and a great day for this park. Flushing Meadows Corona Park is an iconic part of our city. This is one of the symbols of our city. And I know a lot of people in the community have fought long and hard to get this park the help it deserves, to give it the support to live up to its legendary status, to make sure it is truly a park for everyone and a park that everyone can enjoy the kind of quality that they deserve. And now, thanks to the hard work of so many people present today, this very important park in our city will have something it deserves. This is a major park, and a major park deserves a major conservancy. And now we will have a conservancy for Flushing Meadows Corona Park. And that's how we're going to help ensure that it'll be one of the great parks of this city for years and decades to come. The new alliance is going to do so much to uplift the people of the communities around this park, people from all over Queens, people from all over the city who come here to enjoy this extraordinary place. Flushing Meadows Corona Park is one of the crown jewels of the borough of Queens. People from all over the world enjoy it. Families and children and seniors, people from all backgrounds come here. It's one of the great melting pots of New York City. And now it will be even better, and there are so many people who deserve praise and who deserve a share of the credit. I want to thank all the community members and all the activists who work so hard. Let's give you all a round of applause. Thank you for your great work. And there is a famous phrase that success has many fathers and mothers, but in this case, success has a particularly excellent mother who worked so hard and made it her passionate goal to achieve this effort. We want to thank Councilmember Julissa Ferreras Copeland for her extraordinary leadership. She's been working on this for years. She was looking forward to this day, and now we're here. And I had the honor of standing with so many of you years ago when I was public advocate. We were fighting then to protect this park. This is not a new struggle, but people stuck with it. There was tremendous persistence in the community, and I want to thank Julissa and all the elected leaders who believed and stuck with it as well. In addition to Julissa, I want to thank Councilmember Karen Koslowitz for joining us and for her tremendous support. You're going to hear from a couple other folks, but I also want to thank someone who's making so much of this happen every day in this park and in parks all over the city, our Commissioner of Parks and Recreation, Mitchell Silver. Thank you for your leadership. And one of the institutions that helps make this park and everything around it so great, the Queens Museum, want to thank their new-ish president, Laura Rajkovic, for your leadership. Thank you. Now, we know our parks are one of our treasures in this city, even though we are thought of as a city as skyscrapers and concrete. We're a place where our parks are our great outlet, where the parks are where we breathe, where we play, where we experience life with our friends and families. Our parks mean so much to us, and to this day in New York City, there are many, many people for whom their local park is where they take their summer vacation, because that's what they can afford to do. They can't afford anything more. Our parks are precious on every level. And in our parks, our children learn so much. They learn about nature. They learn teamwork through playing sports. They learn some sports that are traditional in this country, like baseball. And they learn some sports that are more and more popular, like cricket. And if you've ever seen a cricket match here, you know there's a lot of people for whom cricket is their first passion. And you can experience that here too. Now, Flushing Meadows Corona Park is the largest park in Queens. It's the fourth largest in the city. And so much happens here. The special events and the everyday moments that happen here mean so much to people. It's also an incredibly historically important site. The site of both the 1939 and the 1964 World's Fairs that really gave the entire world a sense of what New York City meant and were part of building the reputation of New York City globally. And that is very pertinent to our standing in the world today, where we are admired all over the world and more people from all over the world come here for all that we have to offer. And as I mentioned with the museum, the cultural and recreational institutions around this park are some of the greatest in the city. We are very committed as an administration to this park, and that's why we have 8 major capital projects going right now in Flushing Meadows Corona Park. 8 major capital projects totaling about $20 million that are part of our contribution to this park. But now with the creation of Alliance, this park will go even farther. There'll be additional resources to make it stronger, to make it a great place for everyone. We've believed in this administration that there are many ways to help our parks and to reach parks that didn't always have their fair share. And we believe in reaching parks that often were left behind, and that's why we started our Communities Parks Initiative. Through 2019, we'll be investing $285 million, capital dollars, to revitalize 67 community parks in all 5 boroughs. Parks that are now getting the attention they deserve and that people depend on as part of their everyday lives. This is going to improve the quality of life for hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers, and we're very proud of that fact. And we're proud to say, as this conservancy comes to life, that we have just come to an agreement with 8 conservancies that have been around for a while, are well established, have a great track record of bringing together resources. We've called upon them to join us in the effort to uplift parks that haven't had as much. And these 8 conservancies have answered the call, have agreed to add $15 million to our effort to uplift community parks in less advantaged neighborhoods, and we're very appreciative for their support, and we know a lot of people are going to benefit because of that. For a long time, I've talked about what it's going to take to create one New York, a place where everyone has opportunity, everyone has a chance to enjoy this city. These actions today, the creation of this conservancy, the fact that the other historic conservancies are joining to help us reach parks that haven't had as much, the fact that our Community Parks Initiative is investing so much, all of this will lead to a more fair city and a city where more and more people can enjoy all that we have to offer. Just a few words in Spanish. El Parque Flushing Meadows Corona tiene una rica historia y ofrece muchas actividades a todos los neoyorquinos. Sin embargo, por años ninguna entidad ha trabajado para su preservación. La nueva alianza de Flushing Meadows Corona Park viene a cumplir ese rol para mantener y mejorar uno de nuestros mejores parques. With that, whether she's speaking in English or Spanish, she is equally eloquent and equally passionate. And she believed in this vision, and through force of will, working with all of you, brought us to this day of fruition. Let's thank Councilmember Jalissa Ferreras Copeland.
Okay. Good morning. Today is a great day. I have to say I cried all morning. Hopefully I got all my tears out. Because this is really a special day. And I'm going to speak first as a young girl from Corona. This is the park where I learned to ride my bike. This is the park that I learned to ice skate. This is the museum that I went to see the panorama, where I first realized that my community is bigger than the corner that I grew up on 108th and 44th Avenue. This is the park that is the only green space for many young people. So when I challenged myself to start this conservancy, I'm doing it for all those New Yorkers, those that live across the street, those that live in Jackson Heights, those that live as Far Rockaway. Because this park is the world's park. It is our park. This is also the park that I went on my first date with my husband.
That worked out.
So yeah, we were right at the marina. Yes, so very romantic. You can do everything in this park. This is also the park where here at, many of us have gone to the catering hall, and it's where I had my prom, my high school prom from John Bowne High School. So all those students for Flushing, if you're a Flushing student, you know this is where you come and have your prom. So I say this to say that this is a community park. So yes, it is the World's Fair, and yes, it is where major events have occurred. But for a young girl from Corona, this was and remains the lungs of my community. Thank you to Mayor de Blasio and all the friends of Flushing Meadows Corona Park for persisting and supporting the formation of this alliance, and for believing that our park is precious enough to protect its investments. I want to give a special thanks to the Fairness Coalition. It's a long list of members, but I wanted to specifically thank Faith in New York, Make the Road, Chaya, Asian Americans for Equality, NICE, Jackson Heights Beautification, the Green Alliance, Queens Community House, and the Pratt Center. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the Queens Delegation Chair, Karen Kozlowitz, who has been a guiding light in many of the fights. She says, stay focused, keep pushing, stay focused. And to all those that represent this park, this is a key to making sure that we have a public-private partnership that is appropriate for our park. And I would like to thank the USTA and Daniel Sausner, for their contribution and your partnership with the community. Together, we've made the USTA a world-class stadium, and today, you're making it completely accessible for everyone, not only your facility, but this park, and I really, really appreciate it. And I know I was a tough negotiator. I know we had many tough times, but today is a perfect day to celebrate all of those very tough negotiations, and I thank you for standing with us and everyone here today. This park is, as I mentioned, the backyard to many. My father brought me to many baseball games. I still think he really wanted a boy, but he dragged me out to all the baseball games here. But this park is much more. It is an icon for Queens and New York City. It's seen the World's Fair. It's where Serena Williams won her first US Open in 1999. It hosts the Makers Fair at the New York Hall of Science. I see Miss Honey here. And the city's first night market. And this year it became the home of the National League pennant champions for the New York Mets. There is a treasure chest of programming and community activities already available here, and I believe it has yet to reach its full potential. This alliance, along with the Community Advisory Board, will provide our park with a community-driven organization to elevate this park as it deserves. It will bring new opportunities and much-needed dollars, and it will make it even more beautiful for all of us to enjoy. I'd like to also thank Parks Department Commissioner and also Dottie Lewandowski, who has been an advisor and a guide on this. So today, I say thank you. I say thank you for believing in this young girl from Corona, because I can finally give back to this park all that it's given to me. Gracias.
Amen. Well done. You didn't cry.
I didn't cry.
Jalissa mentioned the great partnership with the USTA, and they have been key in both supporting the park overall and supporting the idea of creating an alliance. And the gentleman I'm going to bring forward will actually serve on the new alliance board. And we want to thank them for that great partnership. USTA Chief Operating Officer Danny Sausner.
Hey, Danny.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On behalf of the USTA, I would like to thank all of our partners for making this day happen. Specifically, Councilmember Jalissa Ferreras, Copeland. To say the negotiations were tough would be an understatement, but it was for the best interest of the Queens community, and it really was a pleasure, and very much look forward to working with her and many others. And Councilmember Karen Kozlowitz, who I've been here 15 years, and she's been an integral part of this park for all the years that I've been here, and even before that. So her efforts should never be ignored. Everyone from the mayor's office, the mayor, Deputy Mayor Tony Shoris, and everyone that's been very actively engaged from the mayor's office, Commissioners Silver and Lewandowski, and all the members of the Parks Department and the Parks Administrator, Janice Melnick, who've been there since day one to see this take place. And Borough President Melinda Katz, as well as her predecessors, Helen Marshall and Claire Schulman, who've always cared so deeply about this park. The USTA is the governing body of tennis for this country. It's about sport and it's about healthy living. This park emulates so much of what that's all about. We've been hosting the U.S. Open Tennis Championships in this park since 1978, and we've been a part of the fabric of Queens for over 100 years. We've been hosting public tennis programs in this park, and we will continue to host public tennis programs. That is our mission. The U.S. Open is a 2-week event, but the other 50 weeks of the year, it's about public tennis programming, both on our courts as well as on the City Parks Foundation courts right next to our facility. We're continued to be committed to making the park a world-class destination for Queens families. We see the tremendous usage of this park, how it's used on a daily basis throughout the year, and appreciate what a major destination it is for soccer, swimming, golf, the many cultural institutions in the park, and of course for tennis. We are proud to be the inaugural funder of the Flushing Meadow Corona Park Alliance, pledging over $10 million, as the mayor has mentioned and Jalissa has mentioned as well. I would implore other companies in Queens, as well as companies in Queens who have families that live in Queens, to take note of this alliance, make a contribution, get actively engaged, because we are going to make a difference, and I think it's going to be all about what other companies do as well to help support this alliance. We believe that this alliance will help improve all the uses of the park, not just what you see in front of you, but over 800 acres of incredible parkland. Our employees love this park and are proud to call it their home. We are pleased to be an active member of this alliance and to help make sure that the investments that we are making have visible impacts for the families of Queens. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of this very special day.
Good fundraising plug already.
Yeah, I was going to say, Danny did a good job sending a message to all the companies of Queens. This is something to invest in. We appreciate that, Danny. Finally, I want to introduce someone who I've worked with for many, many years, and who has been a key part with so many of his colleagues here, so many of the community activists here who believed in this vision, believe that parks equity is something we need to work for every day. And he will also sit on the board of the new alliance. It's my pleasure to welcome the co-executive director of Make the Road New York, Javier Valdez.
Who brings his own fan club.
Buenas tardes. What a great day for Queens. So my name is Javier Valdez. I am the co-executive director of Make the Road New York. I'm also a very proud member of the Fairness Coalition of Queens. Today really is a historic day for the borough of Queens. Every Queens resident and every New Yorker should have access to green space to relax, exercise, and be with their families. The creation of the Flushing Meadow Corona Park Alliance marks a new era for making sure that all Queens residents have a park that they deserve. Today is about creating a future together which parents and children have a beautiful and healthy place to play and breathe fresh air. Today is about ensuring that local residents, like Felipe Hidrobo, one of our board members, who works on maintenance jobs 6 days a week, has a park nearby where he can go on Saturdays to play soccer and relieve the stress of the week. Today is about keeping our communities intact and healthy. Flushing Meadow Corona Park is the biggest park in Queens. Our members have nicknamed them the Lung of Queens. It's a valuable green space for many thousands of working families in our community. Yet, for years, it hasn't had the resources it needs. That will no longer be the case. We're excited about the Alliance because it will ensure that the community has a voice in deciding the future of the park. The Community Advisory Board, or the CAB, will be the eyes and ears of our community and will inform the Alliance and the Parks Department of its priorities. More importantly, the Alliance will then allocate resources based on those priorities. The CAB will have its first open house in the upcoming weeks to ensure that there's community participation from all over the park and all the residents that surround the park. Today, our dream of making Flushing Meadow Corona Park a park that we're all proud of is becoming our reality. I want to thank the leadership of Mayor de Blasio, Commissioner Silver, In particular, I want to thank the City Council, but our own concejal, Julissa Ferreras Copeland, for leading the charge to make this a reality. The Alliance is going to help improve and protect this park that we all hold so dear. So muchas gracias again to Councilmember Julissa Ferreras Copeland, to Mayor de Blasio. I want to give a special thanks to all the members of Make the Road New York and all the members of the Fairness Coalition of Queens for standing together for the future of green space in our community. Voy a decir unas cosas bien breve en español. Mi nombre es Javier Valdés, soy de Se Hace Camino en Nueva York. Este es un día importante para nosotros. Le queremos dar gracias a todas las personas de la comunidad que nos ayudaron a luchar para asegurar que este evento y que esta alianza se pueda realizar el día de hoy. Este es su parque, es su comunidad y esta va a ser su alianza. Entonces, muchas gracias y feliz día.
In the Equal Time Department, Councilmember Julissa Ferreras Copeland will now offer a few comments en español as well.
Thank you. Disculpen, me emocioné un poco y no me di cuenta que no había hablado en español, pero le quiero dar las gracias a todos ustedes porque este sacrificio es uno que llevamos por muchos años. Para mí es un gran placer poder representarlo a todos ustedes. Este parque, nuestro parque, ustedes han luchado, han limpiado, aquellos que han jugado en los soccer fields, tienen que recoger el agua y de todo lo que hay un poco aquí. Pero este es el día para tener una inversión mayor en nuestra comunidad, un mensaje claro de que nuestro parque merece lo mejor. Y yo quiero decirles gracias a todos ustedes por continuar en esa lucha. Nos vemos pronto porque sus voces son importantes. Gracias por esta oportunidad.
I'd also like to welcome another council member who's been a great supporter of this effort, and so many of his constituents enjoy this park and depend on it, and we're going to be happy to know it will be stronger now. Councilmember Peter Koo, thank you for joining us. Thank you. Okay, we're going to take questions on this topic first, and then we'll go to off-topic. Yes.
It's a two-parter. Question number one being, why does the communities on the other side of the park, as represented by Councilman Roy Lantzman, why are they not being given a voice and an appointee on this conservancy? And also, I'd like to get you to respond to some comments that Councilman Lantzman made, saying that this is a part of a pattern of you rewarding members of the Progressive Caucus, only having town halls in their district, and only really sort of cooperating with them. And
Okay, so I think I get both questions. On the first question, so Councilmember Ferreras Copeland covers the vast majority of this park, and in addition to her role on this board, the Speaker of the City Council will have a role as well. And obviously the board will work closely with all of the other council members from the surrounding area and all the elected officials beyond the council from the surrounding area. On the question of the town hall meetings, it's an interesting sample size. We've had 2 so far. I would urge the council member to wait a little while before he passes judgment.
This deal was struck in 2013 under Mayor Bloomberg, and I know what the USTA deal was. The money could have gotten distributed within 21 days of the board being distributed. Or the question for you, Mayor Blasio.
I don't know that history from 2013, so I'll let the council member speak to that.
The question being is, it actually is for you. What took your administration so long in creating this board? The money has technically been sitting within the USTA since 2013.
And with all due respect, we focused on getting this done. We're very proud it's done. I don't know that history from the previous administration, so the council member will speak to that.
So the deal that we worked out with the USTA was that the monies would be made available once the connector road, which is this new road that you can see just out here, was finished. We were in the process. Obviously, this is a new administration. We were allowing them the time to be able to look over everything. This was something that was done with the prior administration, and we're here today. This is a great day, and a day that, I've been dreaming of for a long time, even with prior administration. As I said, I have a history with this park. I understood that this park needed this for a long time. And also, I just wanted to speak. This board has one appointee from the City Council. And I'm sure, and I'm very eager to, when we announce and roll out the CAB, which is where we will have all the voices. So that statement that we don't have representation. The CAB is the Community Advisory Board, which is where everyone from the community will sit. So for that statement to be made without us having the first CAB meeting, I think it a bit inappropriate or poorly timed. We are eager to see everyone represented and all the voices heard from this entire park. But I'm very excited that so many people are interested.
Amen. Yeah.
You mentioned that every major park deserves a major conservancy. So my question is kind of two parts. One, are there any other parks that you think could benefit from a conservancy, and if so, which ones? And secondly, why do you think public parks have become so reliant on private funding for, sort of ongoing maintenance?
Well, without getting into a definitional exercise, I think we can say this is obviously one of the very largest, most iconic, most central of the parks in the city. That's what I was referring to, the ones that really have that huge reach, really a borough-wide reach. We're mixing public funds with other funds to achieve the maximum impact. So we all know that public funds will get us part of the way. That's why we're doing the efforts to reach community parks. That's why we're putting $20 million here into this park. But we also know there are limits to what public funding can achieve. And I think it's wise to get additional funding in for the parks that have the ability to do that. It's wise to do it. It's going to allow us to reach more people and have stronger parks.
Mayor, is there any update you can give us? There's some plans or hope to hold a large music festival, Coachella, here in the summer. Is there any update from any of the officials yourself included on how those talks are going and whether you think that music festival will take place here?
I will start. Commissioner Silver will add, amend, whatever I say, and obviously the council member may want to add. These are very initial proposals. And I'm not surprised people are very interested, but they're very initial proposals that haven't even been evaluated yet by the Parks Department. So we're not going to comment formally until we've done a real evaluation. We're going to be centrally concerned with whether it's something we think benefits the surrounding community, obviously what kind of impact it would have on the park itself. These are the criteria we have to look at, but we can't give you a formal answer until we look at the proposals, which we literally have just received. Wait, I saw something. Yes, Juliet. I'm sorry, do you want to add? I'm sorry. If you want to add, you got to jump in. This is like street ball here.
We're always getting proposals on a regular basis, but this month, November, is when proposals for all the permits and the actual official request is submitted. Once that is submitted, we'll be able to vet it very thoroughly. We do a lot of outreach, ask a lot of questions. So as the mayor said, it's a bit premature. There was a proposal out there, but we have yet to sit down to fully vet those proposals.
Is there a time when you, just an internal deadline for issuing those permits for summer activities?
Yes, we do try to do that relatively quickly within the beginning of the year because of the lead-up time to actually prepare such a big event. We try to get a response in the early part of the year.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. What incentives are there for businesses maybe that aren't near the park to contribute to this conservancy and to support this particular park? Are there incentives? Are there breaks for them? Anything that can induce them or entice them?
Yeah, like any other charitable deduction, these charitable contribution, these are tax deductible contributions that they would make here. And I think for businesses all over Queens, certainly, I suspect they know how much this park means to the people of Queens, to their employees, to their customers. There are a lot of businesses in the areas surrounding the park. So I think there's going to be a very big audience to turn to, and I hope, as Danny said, they will be very generous. Wait, who hasn't gone yet on this topic? Anyone hasn't gone yet? Then back to you, Dana.
So with MSG, AEG, I think it is, in Coachella, all looking to hold festivals here, do you anticipate asking them to make some sort of contribution to the Alliance in exchange for getting a permit to hold?
Well, again, I will start, and if anyone else wants to add, they can feel free. I think the first question is, what will be the impact of any proposed event on a park? What are the pros and cons? What does it mean for the surrounding neighborhood? Does the community want it? Is it something good for the community? What impact does it have on the park? Does it bring positives and benefits to the park? What is the wear and tear considerations? We have to look at all of that. So I'm not familiar with how various contributions are considered. I think the first thing we have to think about is what are the overall positives and negatives of having it. Now, that happens all the time in the city. We all know Central Park, for example, has hosted a number of events, and what Mitch and his team do is they assess each one, looking for the overall impact. So once that's done, then we can figure out how, if there were to be any such event, how they could work with the Conservancy. Yeah, first back there, yep.
So with this money finally getting distributed, now that the board has finally been formed, is there, I guess it may be too soon to tell, but what are initially some of the first things that will happen on the board and in the park? I don't know if it's something that the councilwoman would speak to or the commissioner.
Either one. Take that out of the way. There we go.
Each conservancy, alliance, or friends group is different. First, they'll want to get the governance structure in order. So I would suspect at the startup, and I'm an ex officio member of that on the board, is that there's the startup work you have to do. Then you start having conversations about the priorities, the programming, the capital improvements, establishing a strong relationship with the community. So I suspect within the first year, that will where the conversation will occur. And I'm sure from that, the board will want to hear from the community about what those priorities are as well. So there's a lot of work to go around, but typically in any startup situation, you want to get that vision, that program set in place to see how the Alliance can make an impact in this park.
Councilmember.
And just because I thought that this is exactly what would happen, we're calling on the CAB to meet first. And then the CAB is going to put together a report, or the Community Advisory Board will put together a report for the board, so that they can begin to discuss and creative ideas. And this is an opportunity to hear from the community, and that is what the board will then be challenged to set forth in priority and costs and things like that. So they'll get the voice of the community as their first assignment. And then I just wanted to speak a little bit on the businesses and the giving. When I was negotiating this years ago, or when I thought of the idea of putting the Conservancy together, I can't remember his name, and somebody could probably remember it for me. But I'm trying to look at my staff. But there was someone who gave a contribution of $50 million to Central Park. Exactly, the guy from Bayside, Queens. And all I could think about was, if I had this Conservancy up and running 4 years ago or 5 years ago, maybe he could have given us 10. Right? So it's also about creating the opportunity or the mechanism for which people can give. Not that I'm trying to gyp ourselves. I think we should get the 50 if anybody wants to give. But it's to create the mechanism, and that is why this Conservancy or this alliance is being put together. It's to create the mechanism for giving.
What was the process by which you determined how to structure the board for the Conservancy?
I will see if the council member or the commissioner want to get into the details of that. Obviously, we have some examples from other boards, but take it from there.
It was a lot of conversations, a lot of meetings with this administration and the prior administration. It was looking at existing conservancies. We understood that we weren't going to be Central Park, nor do we want to be Central Park. We looked at Prospect Park. We met with New Yorkers for Parks. We met with many organizations. The Fairness Coalition had many conversations, and it was figuring out the mechanism that made most sense for this park. So it really is taking the best practices of a lot of other conservancies, large ones, small ones, and looking at how we can be most successful. So that's how we came about what we have today as an alliance.
Okay, last call on questions, media questions about this topic. Going once, going twice. We are an off topic now. Off topic, yes, sir.
Do you have any plans in the upcoming weeks or months to campaign with Hillary Clinton?
I'll happily do whatever that campaign needs, obviously within the boundaries of my schedule. So we'll see what they need.
Given the reports that there was at least one refugee involved, or somebody who came along a refugee route, involved in the attacks in Paris, has that made you reconsider your stance?
I'd like to, with your indulgence, I'd like to speak to that when we're with Commissioner Bratton later, because we can give you a much fuller answer. We're going to be talking about all those issues in just a little bit later on today.
Some transportation advocates are now calling Highland Boulevard the Boulevard of Death. There have been 8 pedestrian deaths on Staten Island this year, and half have been on that boulevard. What is your take on this? They're saying that not enough is being done specifically for Highland Boulevard.
I think they're right to be very, very concerned, and we're very concerned as well. Queens Boulevard, sadly, still, we're making a host of changes in Queens Boulevard, but to this day has still been the most serious challenge anywhere in the city for a number of years. But Highland Boulevard's been very, very problematic. So far, we've changed the crossing times at 8 intersections to give pedestrians more time to cross. We've put up mobile speed cameras at a number of locations as needed. We are in the process of putting in some new pedestrian islands to give people a better time to cross. But we're going to be making more changes beyond that, so we'll have some announcements soon on Highland Boulevard, because certainly more needs to be done.
Follow-up,
Please.
obviously a lot of Staten Islanders drive and they are not particularly fond of some of the changes made under Vision Zero. Do you have any plans to
It's not about who's fond or not fond. It's about saving lives and protecting people. So I will have that discussion with anyone, anytime, anywhere. We have lowered the speed limit. We've put in the speed cameras. We have a lot more NYPD enforcement, as I said, at the memorial yesterday for victims of traffic violence. We're going to educate the people of this city that they have to drive more carefully and they have to drive within the speed limit. And it will not just be based on public service announcements. You will see an NYPD cruiser pulling you over and giving you a ticket if you break the speeding laws or if you fail to yield to pedestrians. And I think that will be the strongest form of public education. So this is about saving lives. It is hypocrisy to say we want to address issues of crime, but we're not going to address the problems of traffic. We have to get tough on this situation. That's what Vision Zero is there to do. Julia.
Yes, Thanksgiving Day Parade is right around the corner. What are your concerns about security at a massive public event and tourism? So many tourists come to see the parade. Do you think they will worry, about even going?
I think there's a real understanding all over the world that this is the safest big city in America, that the NYPD is by far the most advanced force for addressing these issues. Again, I'd like to go into more detail later when we have the press conference with Commissioner Bratton. But I think it's quite clear that people know when they come to a big event here, there'll be tremendous NYPD presence and tremendous preparation. So again, any issues on security, let's hold for the later on the press conference with Commissioner Bratton. Do you have something else?
On that theme, I know you're going to address the specifics later on, but in terms of New Yorkers who feel a little bit...
Again, I'd really like to, we're going to be with Commissioner Bratton. We're going to go into a great deal of detail on the measures we're taking. Let's do that later.
Are you planning any other kind of progressive-oriented events? There was the one you had planned for Iowa, the Income Inequality Forum. In the upcoming months, you plan to kind of revisit that?
We're going to work with progressive leaders around the country on a series of efforts. Some will be events and some will be other types of initiatives. But the bottom line is, I've said it very clearly, this year and next year we're going to push the issue of income inequality to the fore of the national debate. There are progressive leaders who have gathered together around the progressive agenda, and we're going to be working in all different parts of the country to make sure that this issue is at the front of the presidential discussion and the discussion in other elections for Senate, governor, et cetera. And then continue it past then into the new term, whoever's president, whatever the Congress looks like, that work's going to continue and deepen. So this is just the very beginning of what will be a multi-year effort.
What did you think of Secretary Clinton's answer that she took large donations from Wall Street firms because of 9/11? And also, do you agree with her that taking a donation from a large firm says nothing about what sort of influence that firm may carry with you?
Well, I'd say a couple of things. I'd say whoever you take donations from, you can't let it influence your thinking. And I think she understands that fully. Your beliefs are your beliefs, and I'm very proud to support her because she has a strong progressive agenda for addressing income inequality. And I can certainly say there's a lot of folks on Wall Street who don't agree with her platform and her agenda, but she has stuck to it. She clearly strongly defended Dodd-Frank throughout. She's spoken very powerfully about reining in executive compensation, about cracking down on shadow banking. She's been strong on desire for the closing the carried interest loophole. I think there are plenty of powerful folks on Wall Street who fundamentally hope that what she's trying to achieve won't happen. So I think she has clearly maintained the independence of her positions. I think what she was talking about in terms of relationships, It's clear that she had real relationships with people on Wall Street, and she did spend a lot of time. I certainly saw it with my own eyes. She spent a lot of time with people in Lower Manhattan, including the financial community after 9/11, working together. So obviously personal relationships developed. But I don't think that changed her position one iota. I think she's been very clear that what happened with the financial crisis and the Great Recession cannot happen again, and it's going to take much stricter control of Wall Street to make sure that doesn't happen again. Last call. Anything else? And then we'll see you at the later press conference on security matters. Yes?
Any update on how the negotiations over 421A are going between the real estate boards and the labor trade unions?
Only to say I think they've been productive. I've not gotten an update in the last days, but my strong impression is they've been productive. And I think given the amount of support, the fact that people believe in affordable housing, support these reforms, the fact that so much of the real estate community supports them, obviously the Assembly and the Senate supported them, I feel very confident that we'll get to a good agreement and move these reforms forward. Last call, yes.
I guess coming off of that about affordable housing, a lot of the community boards in Queens have voted, I guess they've expressed their displeasure with the zoning amendments that you were trying to move forward for affordable housing. I know it's going to vote tonight in the Queensboro President's Borough Board. Do you have a comment on how with, I guess, some people in Queens and maybe throughout the city against your plan for affordable housing? Any comment on that?
I obviously respect our community boards. When I was a council member for 8 years, I worked very closely with the community boards in my district. They're always going to raise concerns and critiques and often help us to get to a better outcome. But I would also say what we're talking about is about fundamental change in this city, creating a lot more affordable housing than has been created ever before in our past, ensuring that developers have to provide affordable housing at a much higher percentage than ever before. These are the kind of reforms we need if people are going to be able to live in the city. So I'm never surprised when the community board raises concerns, and particularly local concerns. But we're going to keep moving full speed ahead to make these reforms because we must create a vast amount of more of affordable housing. We must preserve a huge amount of affordable housing, or else people will not be able to live in the city. It's as simple as that. Thanks, everyone.